But welcome everybody to the new episode of MEERAcast, Wild Dreamer Productions' very own podcast, telling you everything that you need to hear about theatre, about drama, here on the Gold Coast in Australia, in Auckland, New Zealand, and everywhere else that we reach. But hello, and today I am George, and I'm joined by Barbara Prestia. Hello.
Hello, George.
How are you going today, Barbara?
I'm great.
That's really cool. But for some people who might not know who you are, some might do. You've been here quite a while, been around.
I've been around.
But tell us, introduce yourself for us.
Hello, everybody. I am Barbara Prestia. I'm a singer-songwriter, vocal coach here on the Gold Coast, Queensland, and I'm also one of the oldie members of the Meera production.
Yeah, you again, we recently spoke to Helen.
Yes.
Again, someone else who has been there since almost what seems like the very start.
Yeah.
Your presence has always been around, helping guide almost that Meera journey. But you mentioned you are I'm not sure if you mentioned you're the narrator.
Oh no, I didn't. No, I am the narrator in the production, which for me is like the bridge between the audience and the action of the characters on stage. I do have a fellow narrator partner, and yeah, we pretty much setting up each scene, creating an atmosphere, and then the rest, the wonderful, talented actors and dancers will do.
It is, because you almost swoop in at times, sometimes when the curtain is down, sometimes when it's not, to really guide and guide not only the story but the audience as they're travelling through that story, and then summing up almost the action in a way that not many others could, not only verbally, but it's not, because it's not just you talking either. It's not just you being a narrator as such. You have a different spin on it.
Well, yeah, I mean, we are universe and time, so we're the all-knowing, all loving part of the show, and we're basically, I guess, we are living through each of the scenes with everybody, but we're also remaining equanimous throughout. We know what it's all good. The universe always has its way of working things out, as we know in life. So I love my character, because I kind of live and breathe that anyway. So it's really, I'm a bit typecast.
Of course, and you almost personify that embodiment in the way that you tell that story, because it's not just by you telling it as normal words, is it? It's done in a kind of operatic style.
Well, actually, no. Now we've changed that, George.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
So this was done something that was done last year.
Yeah,
but
last
not
year
this year.
we did use more of my classical singing voice, but after sort of going through the show, and we have changed quite a bit of things throughout the show, as you know, we sort of felt like some of the information was lost in the event of me singing those, very high notes. And sometimes when you're singing quite high, people don't actually understand what you're saying. So I think it was really important for the narrators to be understood. So yeah, not so much of that now, although my song that I wrote for the show will still be in the show. So
yeah, because a lot of art, a lot of performing is up to one's interpretation of that performance. But especially with a narrator, it is one of those. It is a cornerstone through each of the story.
Yeah.
But tell us about this title song that you've done. What is that you mentioned?
So yeah, Meera, the song. We did that also last year when I first met Arti. Meeting Arti was like coming home. I think, for me, it was just like I'd known her all my life. Where has she been? And so when she started explaining the show and Meera, I had no idea who Meerabai was. And of course I knew who Krishna was, but I didn't know who Meera was. And so then I just became fascinated by Meera. And when I'm fascinated, I get a bit obsessed.
As we all do.
Yes. And I then was inspired to write a song about her, and I started writing, and it just sort of flowed. You know, when it flows, you sort of go, okay, yeah, this is not. I often say the songs I write are not really my songs, because I feel like I'm just a channel in which they're coming through. So, and it was a bit like that for Meera. You know, I really feel Meera's energy is with us every step of the way, and you know, the world needs this message more than ever. And so the song is about Meera and how, you know, unbreakable she was, and her love for Krishna, and yeah, it's just a lovely catchy tune, and we like catchy tunes.
Of course, I can definitely endorse it. It is catchy. I know that me, my best friends, my family, one thing I know I got them saying for sure is they were walking and I go like, Meera. It was stuck in their head.
I'm sorry.
So,
I sometimes apologise to people for that, but yeah.
No, it's a good thing.
It's
a good stuck in my head. But is this online now? Is it something that people can listen to?
Yes, people can, if they Spotify or, you know, just on all the platforms, you'll have to just search Barbara Prestia, and all of my tracks will come up, and Meera's on there as well. So if they want to hear the Meera track, just go Barbara Prestia on Spotify, Apple Music, all of them, and even YouTube, it'll come up.
That's amazing, because I know that outside of Meera and Wild Dreamer, you're obviously a professional singer as well with that that line of life. But I see it as well. Almost it is. I was recently talking to Zara, I should mention, and she was saying how outside of Meera, she obviously does her dancing. She does violin. She just seems to be overflowing with all the different creative outlets that she has in her life. She was talking about her sister working on a different show at the same time.
She's the lead in another show,
Heath being around as well. You guys just seem to always have something creative and beautiful going on. But all over your Instagram, we see a lot of singing, and we know that is something that sits very special for you. But what is it that makes it sit or have that special place in your heart? What is it about singing?
Well, you know, singing's amazing because, first of all, it's the only instrument where we can make words. So there's that, you know. I mean, the piano can't make words, the violin can't make words, although be it someone who can play it so well you'd almost think that they're speaking. But we can actually make words. So that's pretty exciting as a singer. But music in general for me, and singing, it's a therapy. I look at what I do like a doctor. You know, someone's having a bad day and they'll listen to me sing, and I can change that for them. That's pretty special. And I've been in places, a few years ago, I used to love doing what I called public rehearsals. And I would just rock up somewhere and sing with a group of people. And we'd often have people crying, coming up, you know, literally having a really tough day, and because they heard our voices, they felt better. So I think for me it's like an act of service, you know. My singing teacher once said to me, you have a gift, you need to share it. And that's what I do.
It is, because it's no point in having a passion or something that you're interested about if you can't showcase and share that to others.
Well, you know, I think the other thing is I just like to inspire people to find out what their gifts are.
And that's something that I guess you've done a lot, not only the inside of Meera but outside of Meera. Like you work developing the team and developing their vocals, and you work with obviously people in your own line of life as well. But I know that we've even seen that almost as a mesh last year, because I know that you got to join us along a lot of the events that we got to attend, especially at some of the schools.
Yes, that's right.
Especially with some of the children, you even got to do vocal workshops with them. What does that kind of process look like when you're sitting down with someone to do vocal sessions for even like the first time?
Yeah, I love that. I love vocal work. You know, I believe that we're all born to sing. other than if you have something wrong with your voice box. People often say, oh, I'm tone deaf. Well, that's actually very rare, to be honest. And so for me, I love to watch the joy in someone's face when they actually nail one note, even just one note that's in tune. It's so rewarding for them, and some of the students I do teach in my private studio have come to me with pitch problems, and that's something I love to work with too, because there's nothing better than taking a child who hasn't connected the ear and the sound, and then all of a sudden they're singing in tune. It's so liberating for them.
Well, I know that I definitely feel like I'm not tune deaf, and I can hear the different tones, but I would definitely say that my pitch correction and the way that I sing is definitely nowhere near being at a suitable level to be heard by other people.
But keep singing, George. Just keep singing, because it's good for the soul.
Good for the soul. Well, I definitely do sing in the shower. I've
good.
heard that is good for you and potentially lowers your blood pressure, but
And
definitely...
everyone sounds good in the shower.
Everyone sounds good in the shower, especially when it's good for the soul too.
Absolutely.
But how long have you been singing? Is it something that you can just remember doing forever? Is it something that lately came on?
No, I've ever since I was a little girl, I wanted to sing. But I did start piano lessons first. My parents gave me piano lessons, and I was doing those, and I was enjoying that. And then, I don't know if you remember, but Kylie Minogue was big. You might be a bit young to remember that. I don't know, but Kylie Minogue was big, and I loved Kylie Minogue. And I remember she was just getting big, And my parents turned to me, and they said, "Would you like to sing?" And it was just like the most amazing moment.
At that time, they were basically asking, "Do you want to be Kylie Minogue?"
Yeah. And of course, every girl did. And I was just like, absolutely, I do. So I probably was about 14, which at first I thought it was too old. But when I met my singing teacher, whom I still see, mind you, so she's known me since I was 14, since Zara's age.
Wow.
And I went to her and she said, no, 14 is the perfect age. So these days, kids are learning so young. And I do have young students myself, but I don't bog them down with the technical stuff at that age. That age it's fun, and we keep it light, and we learn lots of repertoire, and as they get older, we'll work on more of the technical stuff. And most of the time, if they haven't mimicked too many people on radio, they don't have too many bad habits. But singing, yes, since I was 14, I've been singing, and I thought I'd be like Kylie Minogue, but then I was exposed to the classical world of singing, and that just was phenomenal for me. I started working on repertoire from operas and art songs and different periods, Baroque period, Romantic period, classical period, and some beautiful music, and so I kind of went down that road for a long time. I did a lot of my classical stuff, but I did struggle with that because, of course, here I was, in my late teens. Most of my peers were doing contemporary songs, and I was doing, Puccini and Bach and Handel, and so there was a little bit of should I be doing more of that? And then in my early 20s, I auditioned for Dreamworld as a children's entertainer, and I got the job there, and then I had to do a rock and roll show.
That was quite a bit different from your classical opera.
It was. I was always the most classical gumnut fairy when I was doing the shows, and of course you could hear that in my voice, and sometimes that frustrated me. But having said that, my technique was always so strong, and I could sing all day and perform all day, and I'd never lose my voice. So I'm really blessed that I had that really classical foundation, because even now the songs that I'm writing myself, I'm using that foundation and you know, exploring a few other genres. So I've even written some reggae-ish style songs.
So are you finding that it was more of a process of obviously going as a raw artist and doing your singing and having almost like different flings or different phases that you go through to get different experimentations
Absolutely.
or different flavours, or did you find that it was more of a process that evolved where with every experience built on top of the previous to come to where we are today, to where you're now taking that all into doing reggae and such? Do you find that it's more like different phases that you're going through, or is it all just one giant journey?
I've done a whole lot of other things. So you know, I did some film acting as well. I was in some films, both here on the Gold Coast and also in London. I spent a couple of years in London working as a children's entertainer and an actress, or actor, should I say. That's a politically correct way of saying it. And I mean, look, I've done all sorts of weird and wonderful auditions for crazy tanks where
Tell us your weirdest, come on.
Well, I think one of the funniest ones was when my agent rang me and said, you've got an audition for a classical production in Brisbane. So I rock up and I go there, and all these people are stretching and they're putting their point shoes on, and I ask about the singing audition, and they say, oh no, this is a classical dance audition. So my agent obviously had misread my information. I am not a ballet dancer.
Unlike your daughter.
Unlike my daughter, who is amazing. But she doesn't get that from me. You know, and that was a bit strange. But another one was a big water tank, and I was supposed to be swimming in that tank and doing kind of I guess like synchronized swimming.
Oh, good, because a second I thought you were going to say opera, and I was like, I don't know how that's going to look.
No, it was all top secret. I remember I had to sign these things, and I couldn't say anything, and I auditioned for it, and then I think it never got off the ground. You know, there was a lot of things I've auditioned for that actually never came to any fruition.
Do you find that is something that happens a lot in the industry still?
Well, yeah. Look, I guess there's things, you know, people have ideas, and then for whatever reason, budgets and all of that, they just put on the back burner, or they reinvent it and, you know, re-audition, recast. There is a lot of that goes on. I haven't been in the film world for a long time now, so, you know, I'm not sure what that world's like these days.
Yeah, and I guess with us, with Wild Dreamer and Meera, it's not something that we're kind of used to. We just have this a huge team of people around us, and all working and contributing together to make it what it is. So.
Well, that's right. You know, Meera, the production Meera, and I'd done some other stage productions as well in my time, musicals and things like that. Meera is like the most amazing production to be part of, because I feel like we're all one. We're all working for the same thing. And in the past, I haven't always felt that. You know, as much as people would like that to occur, there is sometimes an element of egos getting in the way, and unfortunately, and you know, we all have egos, and artists always, you know, have to keep that in check. But that was something I really shied away from, because for me, I love people. I do what I do because I love people, and I love to connect with people. Now, that's whether I connect with them on stage, through my music, or in my day-to-day life. I just want to connect with people. So I just use whatever I've got at that time to connect. And Meera is exactly about that. So when Artie had explained the characters to me and the show, I was like, yeah, this is it. This is the show I've been waiting to do all my life. So it was pretty exciting.
Yeah, because it's not only about creating that connection between the characters, between Meera and Krishna and the audience, but also about the connection of all the characters on stage, of the connection between the cast and the crew, and everyone that brought it to life. It was that entire community collaboration of everybody that came together. That required us to almost unite to bring it to life. And
it couldn't have happened without us all uniting. And that was a really magical thing last year, to have so many on stage together. It was, I've not experienced anything like it. And now with Auckland, and really looking forward to meeting all the crew there. I mean, they sound like they're all bonding beautifully, and we feel a little disconnected over here, but I try and send them little messages on the WhatsApp, and they'll be able to listen to me now, and I've been listening to a few of them, so it's nice to get to know them via the podcasts. So the podcasts aren't just good for the wider community, they're good for us as well, to get to know cast members in another country.
Of course, because it's like Meera is the vehicle that drives connection with us all, and it is driving us now towards Auckland and these new set of connections. And,
exactly.
And it is a little bit tough at times being a little bit separated, but that's what this is all about. It is bringing people, no matter the background, race or culture, but also the distance together and closer. But you're absolutely right. I am also so excited for Auckland this year. Have you ever been to Auckland before?
No, I haven't actually. I've been to Wellington, but I've not been to Auckland. So I'm really looking forward to going to see Auckland. I've heard it's beautiful and it's a bit like Sydney. That's what I've been told. I've heard not as hectic, which is great. Good, so we'll be able to fully take in the city and all its beauty. Yeah. But have you heard much of the team, or have you met any of the team? Obviously, we've heard there's a bit of a WhatsApp so everyone can chat, but is the closest that we've got through these types of videos and stuff. Yeah, so I heard Marianne's podcast, and it was lovely to hear her and her background, and Rishabh, it was lovely to get to know him. Obviously I know Helen really well,
of course.
And I look forward to hearing the others as you get a chance to catch up with them, and by the time I get to Auckland, I will know them all very well.
Of course, we'll definitely be catching up with more of them, so definitely stay tuned hear all of them. I will. They recently actually just had their costume rehearsal and launch event in Auckland.
I know, I wish I was there.
I know, a lot of the photos looked amazing. You can actually catch all our photos on our Facebook, but they all looked phenomenal, and the team over there has just been flat out lately.
Yeah, they've been working hard.
I know it's been very hard to catch them at any point, but you are someone that has, as we talked about, been here from the very start. Since it was almost in its planning, since the initial rehearsals.
Well, I actually met Arti through a mutual friend, and she'd only just booked Hotter.
Wow. So by this point, Meera had only just been conceived.
That's right.
Because she had only just... She'd booked and decided there and then.
That's it.
So.
That's pretty much it. So we had a cuppa, and I met with her, and she said she'd booked Hotter, and I said, okay.
I guess this is happening.
And I've got to say, I've never worked with a producer or director who's actually booked the venue before everything else.
Before having a team, the set, a script.
I know. I must admit, I did go home to my husband, and he was like, what are you thinking?
What have you signed up to?
Well, I don't do much thinking, I just follow my heart. So, that's pretty much me in a nutshell. I just go, yeah, this feels right.
And that's the best guide that we have.
Absolutely,
sometimes.
Absolutely.
But from everything from that initial conversation with Arti to all of our school visits to everything from being involved with the Meera flash mob last year.
Oh, that was good.
Is there a moment that sticks out in your head as just your absolute favourite?
Oh, you know what? Yes, it was that last scene at Hotter when we all were on the stage together and everyone was clapping and we had the standing ovations, and I looked over at Aarti and I was just so proud of her. I mean, I don't think I could even explain how hard she worked. No one really even knows how hard that woman works. I mean, you know.
I'm there alongside every day.
Exactly.
So.
But, you know, to have a vision and then to all kind of feel the vision, see the vision with her, and then to actually do it and be there all together, united. It was a pretty magical moment. Yeah, I was quite emotional actually in that moment at the end.
I bet, and something that we recently got to speak about with Zara was how special that moment must have been for you to also be on stage with other people in your family as well, and how special that must have been.
Yeah, that is amazing, you know, just to have, well, I mean, my children, I've always wanted them to have arts in their life, because I believe that all children, doesn't matter their socio-economic standing, should have art, some sort of art in their life. And, you know, my children are very blessed because they had that from before they were born, really. I mean, I was performing while I was pregnant to all my children. So to have them share in that experience, yeah, it was pretty amazing. And, you know, for Aarti to provide the space for that to happen for me was beautiful too. It was a lovely gift that she gave me to have my son and my daughter, one of my daughters, in the show with me. My other daughter didn't want to audition actually, because she was nervous about the dancing. But she too is very talented. You know, she's the lead this year in her school musical,
Wow.
Aladdin. She's playing Aladdin. So, you know, she's not short of talent herself.
Everyone's off in their own path.
Yes.
But we saw some photos of you and Zara. What looked like a makeup rehearsal here on the Gold Coast.
Yeah.
In what looked like one of the most stunning locations on the water, just with everyone collaborating together, putting makeup on. So, what was that day like? How did that look? It just looked stunning.
Was that the Meera day?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, it was great. That was our photo shoot. So we were all getting glammed up at Aarti's place, and then had to go on to a studio for the photo shoot. It's so much fun, you know. It's so much fun to get our makeup done, and you know, just be able to share that with my family as well. You know, it's quite nice. You know, no matter what they decide to do, I've always said I'm not forcing them to be artists professionally, you know, but they're experiencing things that maybe other kids haven't experienced, you know, and it's all about experience with children, isn't it? And I think whether they become professional artists or not, they'll always appreciate the arts.
Of course, and I think that's something that we try to do with everyone involved with Wild Dreamer.
Yeah.
Is to take these and just starting out as an idea and giving everyone around us the opportunity to be involved in that. Like last year at the start, not only did we never imagine or be so mind blown that Meera was even going to happen, to then halfway through the year, half the cast being involved in a flash mob almost just seems unfathomable. And it is now we've got teams working together to do community initiatives and give back to the community. So I do think anything is possible, and especially with the power of the arts behind you, it can just drive you forward to push limits that you never knew.
Well, that's right. My only thing would be for the arts is that I'd love to see artists actually, like myself and many others, being validated with the correct income that we deserve, you know, the way sport is. So I guess, you know, that drives me, and I know Aarti as well, to put arts on the map so that artists don't have to do another job to create the art that you come to see. You know, art is important.
Well, I must admit, if someone is a professional athlete They have to do their training all the time. They're always going to practice. They have to work well with their managers, with the other people on their teams if they have one. They have to take care of their body, take care of their health. There's a lot that goes into being an athlete and to then perform in front of everybody. Which just sounds the exact same as someone in the theatre.
Absolutely.
You have to go through all your theatres, you have to treat your body right, or your rehearsals, treat your body right. You have to work well with all the other cast.
Exactly.
And to then get on that stage in front of everyone.
So we need corporates to see artists the way they see sports people. Maybe. I don't know.
I agree.
Yeah.
There's we saw last year when the whole theatre was absolutely full, jam-packed, to see that one night of Meera. So
exactly.
I do absolutely believe that there is that demand behind theatre, and it's just can only be a matter of time now.
I hope so.
Corporates and businesses notice that.
I do hope so, because we lose a lot of artists here on the Gold Coast in particular to overseas, because they get work, and I mean, I was like that. I went to London and I was in London for 3 days, and then I got a job in a theme park, and I was working the whole time I was in London. I worked in the theme park, and then I worked as a freelance children's entertainer, and there was always something to do there, so I would like to see that more happening on the Gold Coast, in Australia, wherever, across the world. I think if corporates can see arts like they see sport, and then support artists in their training and all sorts of things, that would be great.
Of course, and of course we always have our sponsorship page open on our website. If there are any corporates out there
please
wanting to get involved with us, but I know that is a very special part of Wild Dreamers' purpose going forward, is to break down those boundaries, not even between the people in the community, but between theatre and business, and those more established relationships that might exist. But I know that I'm so looking forward to seeing you on stage.
I'm so looking forward to
up this
being on
June.
stage. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. And tonight we've been working with Chumcore on our narrations, and really digging deep and making sure that they are exactly what they need to be, so that we can tell this story in its integrity.
Can you tell everyone what it is you're working on at the moment, like in regards to the show? Is there a key piece or something that is niggling you?
Well, actually, the last narration I really want to work with, because basically I say the last thing in the show.
Final show before
I know, so pressure's on.
Yeah.
I really want to dig deep into that, because I think there's a lot there, and it's only a few lines, but they can be so powerful, and I want the audience to basically be uplifted and pretty much have absorbed everything from the show.
Leave with that final impression.
Yeah, exactly. And then tell all their friends, and hopefully we'll tour the world and spread love wherever we go.
Of course. Well, if you want to experience that very last impression told by Barbara herself, you can join us at ASB Waterfront Theatre this May and June. We have tickets on sale now as part of an early bird special. You can save $20 on every ticket. So definitely book your tickets now. Follow our journey. You'll be seeing pictures and videos of Barbara and the entire team and seeing what they're up to. But Barbara, thank you so much for your time
tonight. Thank you, George. I always love chatting with you.
Oh, and I you. Thank you so much for sharing your journey and what you've been up to.
My pleasure.
All right. Thanks. Bye.
Bye.